So what do participants in this study say to other applicants? Well, they say don't go in blind. Hiring an RMA is like hiring any other sort of professional. So you need to shop around and look for more than a convenient location, and compare more than prices. Prepare in advance. Be familiar with the departmental website. Have a goal in mind. Supply required information about yourself and your situation, and go armed with specific questions. Now, this was the advice given by the participants in the study to other applicants. You can easily turn that around in your marketing materials and say, in order to get the most out of our first consultation, could you please have a look at the DIAC website, have a goal in mind, come with this and that information about yourself and your situation, and please bring along any questions. That would do a tremendous amount to establish that bond of trust even before they've walked in the door. Lastly, these applicants were saying that they need to take responsibility for their own outcome. Even though they have a professional advising them, they need to continually participate actively in that process. And I think communicating that to your prospective clients is also a healthy practice. And if their application is being paid for by someone else, that is either an employer or a family, it's important to communicate that they need to have some ownership over this process. That, for example, if it's an employer, you need to make clear that there could be an end to this relationship if your employment ends, and this is what will happen. As a 457 applicant myself, I'll tell you, that was the most important thing I needed to know from the agent at the beginning, was what would happen if I'm no longer in this job. Referrals from friends and family should really just be seen as one source for referral information. We spoke to a number of people who had been referred by friends or members of their particular ethnic community, and very few of them were satisfied. A personal recommendation is really just that. It's one person's opinion. That does not negate the need to shop around to really look for a professional that you can work with effectively, and to have a specific goal in mind and know what you want. Let me just conclude tonight with 9 points. So these are what we consider 9 points of advice to agents, which arise from this particular research study. First of all, let's remember risk management is your key selling point. Use reverse testimonials if you like. Now that I know, I would have used an RMA. I went through things like the complexity, the time limits, the changing rules, and the consequences of errors. It's amazing to me how few people understand that if you make a mistake in this process, there sometimes can be no recourse. People aren't always accustomed to that. That's a very strong selling point. Now you have to be careful, of course, about the language in which you couch these sorts of things. You don't want to be alarmist. You don't want to be fear-mongering and seem to be capitalizing on the tragic circumstances of others, but helpfully pointing out some of these things, either on your website or in your verbal communication, probably will be helpful. Number 2, marketing is a long-term proposition. And look, I'm not here to say whether or not you should charge a fee or not charge a fee for your initial consultation. That is your own decision. But as you make it, you should consider that if you charge for initial consultations, you may only attract the do-it-yourself applicants, or you could discourage a serious customer. Number 3, to market effectively, you need to identify a target market. So to say that you can do everything for everybody is probably not a good strategy. It's probably good to think carefully about what your place in the market is, who you're going to be able to establish that bond of trust with from the beginning, and what occupational class or special circumstances are you most familiar with? And then communicate back in all of your communications that you're focused on this target market. Okay. Make sure that your hygiene is attended to, and by that I mean be sure to list your qualifications, explain them where necessary. In addition to being an RMA, you might like to also talk about other things that you're qualified to do. Ensure that your MARA registration number is prominent. And again, the website is the most important real estate you can own. Offices can add or detract from your overall value proposition, so they need to be managed carefully. Number 5, promote your specific experience in helping members of your target market. And like I said before, case studies could be highly effective. So you always do them on a no-names basis. You hide the identity of the people. You try to generalize the situation so that it's applicable to as many people as possible. But if people can read through the stories of people you've helped and why they got a good outcome because you were involved versus doing it on their own, that could be quite compelling. Put the abundance theory into practice. Give advice unreservedly and they will hire you. Number 7, use active listening to instill confidence. Number 8, model the behavior of successful RMAs. That is, be flexible, be persistent, and be patient. And number 9, make your fee schedule transparent and predictable. Those who compete on price alone are less likely to succeed. So that is it for the presentation.